and let me give you a preface. Okay, I have been curious. I call them the Andes silver mine nations, the Andean silver nations. It's Mexico. They're at the northern end of that. And the San Andreas Fault is part of the Andes fault line. But Ecuador, Peru, Chile, even Bolivia to some extent, but they don't have so much the precious metals. These nations shut down some of their mines, and it's now going to become funny because they didn't want the COVID risk for their workers. This is when they use the bullshit to back out of a suppressed market. I call that clever. And I have had a question. My question has been for the last couple of months. How long does it take for them in the Andes region to reopen silver mines? The answer was 18 months minimum. They got to get the permit. They got to get all the different water rights. They have to make sure the electricity is good. They have to make sure that there is a plan to deal with the nearby villages in case of contamination. It's a messy industry, mining. Okay. So if we get up to 3,000 by the end of this year, and I think we're going to be looking at 2,500 this summer. Okay, look how quickly we got to 23 something.
Yeah, we're not far. We're not far off.
Not even 10% away.
Yeah.
And the percentages are going to be mind-boggling for silver. From 28 to 50 is almost double. Almost.
Yeah.
It's almost 100%. But what I think is going to happen is that we get past like the end of the year, toward the end of the year, we get to the 3,000 territory and we realize, oh my gosh, we've got a lot of demand and every sell-off is finding new buyers. And we've got a severe supply shortage. That's when the silver industrial deficit becomes a major topic.
Okay.
And I don't think India is going to help out anymore. India has been relieving the industrial deficit for a decade or two.
Yeah.
We're going to have a long time to reopen these mines in the Andes. And something has been happening in Mexico. It is stranger than strange. They're saying now that they want to limit foreign investment, and it's got to go through an approval process, and it's going to be more bureaucracy, and you got over a 50% decline in foreign investment in Mexican mining. Furthermore, they want to add a 10% royalty to all Mexican mining, and they're seeing a severe impact to silver. The silver output is down. I don't have hard figures, but it's down. We have silver companies that are saying, we're not even going to release our output. What they're doing is they're making output and they're putting it in inventory. They're doing a lot of different tricks.
Yeah.
Not participating. And this is, AMLO, the president, Obrador. This is really confusing, and it's an obstruction for the silver output. And if you're Mexico and you see that you got an unfair price under 30, you might actually try to devise obstructive laws. I don't know what the right adjective is. So they come up with a law that they're going to just abolish later. When you get rid of your price suppression, we'll get rid of our dumbass law. Okay, they're in charge of Mexico. Okay, this is turning into a global metal war. And the metal war is linked to the dollar treasury bond war.
Indeed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I find it exciting. We're going to see a lot of people invest more. I've heard in the last few months that the dealers in the United States are net buyers from the people. The people are selling their gold and silver because they can't make household budgets. They can't meet their budget costs. And this is very unfortunate because they're not going to be able to participate as much as they wanted. I had a client yesterday say, Jim, I like to see the gold rally. It's all good, but damn, I had to sell a lot of my gold in the last few years. I got some, but I don't have anything like what I had. And I just try to encourage him to hang on, try to buy more. He said, I can't buy anymore.
Yeah.
And their insurance costs are going up.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you get fires like Maui that have a lot of suspicious origins, it just adds to the insurance costs.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How do you think fire insurance costs in northern Texas are right now?
I can't even begin to speculate on that, but I'm guessing it's astronomical. It's got to be.
It's got to be higher, and it's
Yeah.
hurting a lot of people.
It is. People are suffering. Indeed.
I am excited by a lot of what's happening, and I just want to mention in closing a few different points that I've not mentioned so far.
Yeah, please.
We have a transition of geopolitical and financial power. It's shifting from west to east, and it's going to be manifested in removing the dollar and integrating gold in banking systems and trade payments, both. Whenever you see an end to a paper monetary standard, you must go to a metal. You don't go to a different paper. Okay, we have now also, these are my 20 points. I'm on number 14 here. I'll move quickly. We now have a distrust internationally of all things American.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about banks, financial markets, economic statistics, warfare, news networks, social nonsense like gay and social governance, gay lesbian nonsense. My gosh, the percentages of gay lesbians is so small, and they make it sound like it's 20% of the population. It's not even 2. Okay, and that's not all. It's political fascism in addition. Okay, I mentioned number 15, the mothballed mining project. They're going to take a long time to come online to meet some of this demand. We're not going to have a lot of demand come out of the woodwork. We've been in deficit for too long. Okay, the global debt, let's just not focus on the United States. The global debt in relation to GDP is now 330%. We're going to see a global debt default. We might see a Euro debt default, Euro Union. We might see a British gilt debt default. All these major nations might be going to gold and dumping their own local sovereign debt.
Mm-hmm.
Number 17, I hit this before. The de-dollarization movement is going to eventually culminate in the gold token. But I believe that several nations are working feverishly right now to build their gold reserves to make that possible. XRP, it's gold backed, it's on-demand liquidity. Doesn't matter how much XRP you need, you can fill the need with on-demand liquidity. It'll happen on the fly. Oh boy, that's exciting. The specter of war. We've talked about war, but we didn't say war is feeding the gold market. It is. In fact, you see 3 major reasons in the US press. They say the credit crisis is building, the price inflation that's emerging, and the specter of war. My last point is controversial, but I make it with confidence. I maintain that dark money is part of the hidden hand finding gold. And I bring up a couple of examples. Langley, namely, the cocaine importing agency, CIA. Langley has several, I'm told at least a couple dozen containers in the major Greek ports like Piraeus. And they're loaded with shrink-wrapped $100 bills, and each container is worth something on the order of $10 billion.
Wow.
Okay, these are very large stores of cash. Do you really think that Langley is going to leave that all alone during a debt default?
Nope.
They're going to look for a hard asset. That's just some of the dark money.
Mhm.
It's mostly money laundering, but okay. Remember the Chappie controversy about 7 or 8 years ago in Mexico, and a lot. It was billions in cash and gold coins found in Mexico. It was from rival drug cartels. The cartel in power did not have control of Chappie, and they nailed him. A lot of the cash like that is going to go into gold coins, much more than silver coins. Oh my goodness.
I think a
Now,
lot of that's happening in South America right now.
yeah,
Big time.
and never leave out the traffickers. And I don't like talking about child trafficking much. It's what opened the door for a lot of very serious dark force attacks for me. But the traffickers and their money laundering, let's keep it very general. White women, kids, human organs, bioweapons, adrenochrome. Okay, these are traffickers, and their headquarters is Ukraine. They're going to be converting much of their dollars into gold, but they're also going to use Bitcoin. I regard Bitcoin as having 50% legitimate users and 50% traffickers.
Mm.
The legitimate users, I got schooled about 3 years ago from a guy. Oh gosh, I don't remember what I called him. I think it was JV Blue. I called him JV Blue or something. He's a Pacific Rim fund manager. I don't want to describe him any further than that, but he schooled me in a very constructive way. He helped me to understand the Bitcoin usage. And he said, imagine you're a fund in Thailand or a fund in Korea or a fund in Australia, and you want to move $1 billion to a company or a bank in Italy. If you use the above, we call it above ground. If you use the above ground SWIFT, then you've got the American eyes, and they always look for what do you call it? A ferryman toll. And then there's scrutiny on what's the nature of the funds. Is it all legitimate?
Right.
They avoid all that by going with Bitcoin.
Of course.
All legitimate. It's all legitimate. Legitimate. A lot of uses of Bitcoin is legitimate.
I agree.
The Chinese use it for trafficking purposes and payments.
It's interesting that it's being embraced in El Salvador by the president. You have any thoughts on that?
Not many.
Not many. Okay, well, let's put an end cap on it. It's been a long conversation. I know we probably want to wind it down anyway, but yeah, I think Bitcoin. I agree with you. I don't think it's just like anything else. I mean, it's a tool, but it's also, who's wielding the tool, and in so many cases we've heard, that's really been the.
It's not backed by much, but it's so commonly used. And I had a friend who bought it in 2009 at $100, and he sold it at $300 and boasted that he tripled his money.
He's probably kicking himself now, huh?
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I remember hearing about it back in 2008 when it was like a cent, or, it was like a fraction of I mean, it was crazy how much you could have gotten back in those days.
They're
But
not going to be able to control this. There's a lot of threat that Bitcoin is going to be targeted by, the architects of the reset. And I believe they're going to have
I think it's going away.
So much trouble that they're going to have trouble. They're going to wish they had 5 hands to manage their own bank collapse and debt default. And the outlet is going to be gold and Bitcoin. And never leave out Ethereum. Ethereum's got a lock on a lot of different contracts. But hey, look, it's been fun. And we've been at it for an hour 40, I think.
Yeah, I think it's about that time. So tell folks before we break a little bit about your website, about the Hat Trick newsletter. Just give everybody a rundown, a quick reminder. There are a lot of new listeners, but give folks a reminder where they can get more Jim Willie, and then we'll have you back on hopefully next month. Okay, it's golden-jackass.com. This is my 20th anniversary. I'm very excited that I've made it this long. I didn't think it was going to last this long, but
I'm going to be doing my dead level best, and with the help of a lot of supporters, I'm able to continue with aid. And they're predominantly Christians, and I thank the Lord Jesus, and I'm not bashful at all. I have numerous examples of a very urgent need and then a very sudden hand with aid. And they mentioned that they're Christians and they want to support my work because I've stuck my neck out and I identified evil. And I'm talking about organized evil. But it's a golden-jackass.com. The flagship is the newsletter. It's the only one. It's called the Hat Trick Letter, but the names are relevant. It's the newsletter on the golden-jackass. I've got time. This morning I did a consult call. A couple of days ago I did another. I'm doing 2 or 3 a week. They're interesting. And they offer me, this is a very unusual comment to make. I'm available for consult calls to help out people who have unresolved problems and a lot of confusion on some of the events and factors involved. But I also benefit, like 1 in 10 consults provides me some information that's very valuable. Like at Long Beach for the underground battles and rejection of treasury bills. And like 2 years ago now, the FDIC officer who told me that every Wall Street bank was in bankruptcy, but as long as they get sufficient liquidity, they will not have a failure. Unbelievable information I get from the consult. So subscribe to the newsletter, maybe get a consult, hit the aid button, which is no longer with PayPal. I got rid of them. Hit the donate button. And if you're wealthy and you want to support my work like a mission, hit the sponsor button. Someone did just a few days ago. Honestly, I have my own personal private reaction to that. And it's not to cry in my wrist. It's to show reverence to the Lord, because this is as much a global battle for liberty as it is a spiritual battle. These fascists are Satanists, and they're trying, it's a Satanist cult, and they're trying to get a godless nation with no home ownership, broad poverty, and they don't want you to own gold. They don't want you to have money enough to buy gold. They want to make smart cities. I just did a consult call a few days ago. There are now 4 smart cities in the making in Michigan. Yeah. Not getting any publicity.
That's right. And it ties into the conversation we had about BlackRock and, just how far this is going to go before, we see some pretty tangible, we use the word tangible. That's a pretty good word for 2024. A lot of folks out there want to see something tangible happen really soon.
In Flint, smart city might include a lot of unvetted migrants. It's getting so bad in our education system that there was a suspension of a student who used the term illegal immigrant. He got suspended. Okay, this is a sickening situation for our education. We're building a new generation of liberal retards and people who, I asked my sister, okay, this is the last thing I'll say, then I'll say goodbye. I asked my sister, hey sis, what's your favorite pronoun? And she said, bitch.
Oh, that's a great way to end it.
I'm a jackass, and hers is bitch. And she's an attorney. So attorneys have to be, aggressive, forceful, assertive, and confident. And she's done very well in her career. That's over 30 years. And she's been my ally, and I'm very grateful to her in the last few years. We lost our father, and that's tough. But my father called me unpatriotic, and I'm the most patriotic member of our family, including all of our 30 cousins. So, Dad, you missed that one. And I got a punitive inheritance for my lack of patriotism. All right.
Hopefully we can get enough people to get a consult going and enough people to sign up for the Hat Trick Letter, and we can reverse that punitive measure he took. That's really unfortunate. But
and to the bizarre events. And some people who do a consult call ask me about what is going on in your life? What is it? So I explain all kinds of real, ugly, weird, rare events that I call 3 sigmas that are very costly. Thanks for having me on. It's been great. And you're looking good, like that beard, looking good.
Oh, thank you, Jim. I